Hey, what is up guys? So today in this video I'm going to be discussing the upcoming sequel to the mega blockbuster hit, of course, Guardians of the Galaxy. Now I'm going to be talking about Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and some of the rumors coming from various websites that still have yet to prove anything that they've said is true. But when I talk about this, I think I'm going to kind of go into details on why I think this makes a lot of sense and potentially also talk about the potential villain in the movie. So the first thing I want to talk about is apparently that the three members who are going to be joining the current roster of the team. Now of course currently we have Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, Groot, and Rocket Raccoon. But this movie is apparently going to see three more join the ranks. One being Michael Rooker as Yondu, and along with him would be Nebula and Mantis. Or at least we think the actress was hired to be Mantis. We haven't really gotten a 100% press release from Marvel yet. So they say that they don't know in what capacity these guys would be joining the team in, but that they would be in some sort of way. Now, I think honestly when you look at this, it makes a lot of sense. James Gunn said that another member is going to be joining the team, hence Mantis. That's what we're all expecting, sure. Nebula, there's a lot of unfinished business clearly with this character. Obviously, the relationship with her and Gamora needs to be explored further, and there's a lot left with that aspect of it. Now, when you look at something like, how she could tie back in, obviously her relationship to Thanos, her interaction with the team that she's had so far and everything like that, well, we kind of start to see this picture painting in front of us that, okay, I could see how this character works into the, into the whole factor of the movie. Now, on the other side, of course, Yondu. There's a whole lot of unleft business to touch there. We saw him at the end of the movie. We saw that he knew about Star-Lord's dad, who's going to play a part in this movie. It would make sense to include Yondu. So what they're predicting here is essentially the safest bet ever, that at some point all these characters are going to be teaming up. Now, of course, they could just backpedal that and say, well, we predicted it, but they changed that, and it just turns out that these characters are in a movie, which once again, that's the safest prediction ever. That's like predicting an Avenger is going to appear in the Avengers, because of course they are. It's an Avengers movie, right? So there's still a lot to these rumors that I don't believe, which is why I'm making this video to kind of stress out why it's obviously probably going to happen. But I have to wait and see because, well, I don't know how all these people are going to work on a team. Maybe a reluctant team at some point that has to take on whoever the villain is, which is going to bring us to the next point of the story. And that rumor is that the villain of the second Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be Ego, the living planet. Now, this is pretty far out there, having a planet that's living. Obviously, I don't think Ego is in the movie is going to have facial hair or anything like that. I think it could be possibly a living planet that devours everything in its way. Hint, hint, kind of take a Galactus take on there, some sort of thing like that to kind of jab at Fox. So honestly, this one I could see. Once again, we've already seen the head of nowhere, one of the ancient Celestials. They could say that Ego is maybe one of these ancient Celestials. You don't know, I don't know, I'm not saying that's a great idea. Obviously, that's a departure from the comics, how they can take it and everything like that. But once again, this is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We know that they are not afraid to, go out there, change stuff that's been established in the comics for eons, and deliver, what they believe makes the script and story stronger, which I think many of us will trust them for that, since having watched the MCU, since they've done that to most of these characters, and look at how great they turned out. Which next makes me, wonder, and this is kind of going to be about some of the speculations and concerns. Obviously, Guardians of the Galaxy was a very great movie. You look at it right now, it's one of the highest graded, comic book movies of all time. Certainly the best reviewed. It's definitely up there for many people, and it was this silent hit that came out of nowhere and literally took the world by storm. I mean, making almost double what Disney was projecting. That's huge. So going into 2, I think there's a lot of complaints that they should address. Obviously, a lot of people didn't understand the dancing scene at the end with Ronan, the dance-off bro. I understood it from the standpoint of what he was doing, so I really enjoyed it. But I think, the comedy aspect is probably going to be toned down a bit in that regard. I mean, I don't think they're going to have a dance-off with a living planet, if he is the villain. Now, speaking of the villain, obviously the stakes have to be high. I think that's always the case with these movies. They're always looking, how do you take it to the next step? And this is going to be their final outing before we see these characters appear in Avengers Infinity War. So the stakes have to be high. Somehow, maybe some gems. Thanos has to have a bigger role. So you could see why they would go with Ego, because, what's bigger than taking on a planet? Alright, the Mad Titan. Physically, he's not bigger, But when it comes to the showdown of everything you're building up to, he's the biggest thing you have. So the way I see this is, he's going to be the puppet master once again, maybe even take a smaller physical role in this. But I definitely don't think, Thanos is going to sit out the entire fight like we're expecting him to, like he did the last movie. Now, Ego, how you deal with this character, it's going to be tough. It has to be, pass over the cheese in the camp, which is why I believe, he's going to be some sort of, planet, obviously that's sentient, that's alive, maybe something happens to him, but I definitely don't think he's going to have like the eyes and the face and everything like that to the way we know from the comics. I just don't think that can work. So that's pretty much everything I have to say about him. Now regarding the team and everything, obviously the team composition I think is perfect. Now before people start ragging on, the whole, Ego might not look the way he does or anything like that, let's not forget the iteration of the Guardians of the Galaxy that we have in the current movie is completely devoid of what we originally got with the original inception of the team. We're looking at a team that was only made famous in the late 2000s. So when you really think about that, once again, I don't think they're bound by anything. So if you have the current team members, which we know who they are and what they're going to be doing, obviously they're doing a little bit of good, a little bit of bad out there. You have to look at the aspect of which way do they take these characters, which way do they go. So what we know is we're going to have, of course, Jason of Spartax. Maybe, I don't know. It's probably not going to be even Jason anymore that we don't, we don't know who the father is anymore. And I don't think we even care because as long as the story's good, we'll click with it. So, honestly, any of these members joining the team or quote unquote joining the team, even if it's part-time or just to kind of start stuff there, to kind of be, kind of on the team maybe for their own purpose, such as I think Yondu will be because he'll want a big paycheck. Maybe Nebula reluctantly has to team up with her half-sister because, hell, something bad is going to happen and maybe she knows about it and she's starting to get some sort of emotion. And what role Mantis plays in this, if it is in fact Mantis, well, I guess we'll have to find out when the movie hits. But I think the team will, have some sort of conflict within them because, hell, they've been hanging out for all this time and clearly, they don't all necessarily get along. They had to save the world or the universe technically at this point. So now that that's kind of relaxed up until Ego shows up, I think we might see some of that conflict. So that's everything I have to say on this one, guys. Thank you for joining me for the video. So thank you for watching the video, and if you guys like what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you haven't already, check out some of these other great videos we have on the channel. Just click the annotation right there, it'll take you to them. Thank you for watching, guys, and have a good one.